Hello, hello, hello. How are we all? Hope you've had a fantastic day. It's a bit grim over here. The weather's not too great. But do let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from, and also what year group you teach or subject, because I always find that interesting, and I sometimes am able to adjust the content then throughout this session if there's anything in particular that you're teaching and that might give me a bit of inspiration as we go through some of the things we're going to get up to. So my name is Nicole. I'm the Education Community Lead here for the Adobe team in Europe. And essentially what I do is I run ACE training like this, alongside my colleagues Dom and Meredith, who you might know from live lessons. If you have been living under a rock and don't know what live lessons are, I will share some links and information about that at the end of the session. But essentially, Dom and Meredith take your students through 2 creative challenges. They do them every week, sometimes on different topics throughout the week as well. And one of the things that I get to run then is the ACE Leader program and the ACE Innovator program here in Europe. So I will also put up links for ACE Leader at the end of the session, because I would love you to join us there. We have a great session lined up. So we're going to be taking a look at presentations, web pages, portfolios, kind of the career readiness skills that are particularly being looked and sought after by employers and by the creative industry, but also for the non-creative industry, being able to put together a presentation, whether for teaching in and of itself, any students that you have that might want to go on to be teachers. Many interviews now for university places have student teachers show a presentation or do a storytelling and things like that. So we're going to create a portfolio, little web page, and a presentation using Express. So to get started on that, I have this little web page that I'm going to dip in and out. But if you do have to leave the session at any time, you can just go to the link that's going to be ticking along at the bottom here, so that you can catch up on any of the sections that you miss. Because I know sometimes the caretakers might be jingling keys at you to get out and get on home. So one of the things we're going to look at is basically creating a dynamic portfolio, a digital portfolio, multimedia portfolio. And that's one of the great things about Express, is that we have the capabilities for this all-in-one editor. We can edit images, videos, animations, even podcasts now, and put all of that into presentations and web page portfolios as well. We're going to look at starting from scratch and also starting from a template, because I know some, for Northern Ireland, for example, it's a level 3 skill to be able to start editing a template. So there's different times when you would need students to edit templates, and other times when you want them just to make it completely their own from the very beginning. So my advice is to log into Express and pause this video at any time. So if you need a little bit longer, you want to keep pushing all the buttons, then just hit pause, and then you can carry on with us later on whenever you're ready to move along. I am going to keep a wee eye on the chat here. So if you do have any questions, just pop them in and I'll take a wee look every so often and either type a reply, or I'll be able to show something on screen if needs be. So let's first of all hop into Express. So this is what Adobe Express should look like for you. Some of you may have, let me just refresh, some of you may have a different tile at the start here. The start of each new month, there should be a new tile. And I know we've already started a month, but I don't see a new tile just yet. We'll blame time zones. But that's the monthly creative challenge that our ACE leaders take part in and can enter to win some swag. So if you like getting a little bit of merch, if you like getting a little bit of swag for yourself, then you should absolutely join ACE Leader then to take part in the monthly creative challenges. But even just looking at the homepage here from Adobe Express for Education, notice that I'm in the education version because I'm logged in with my school account. Even just scrolling down a little bit on the homepage, we can see right here, build a web page, and then down here, create a presentation. And on the web page, you can see Emily's portfolio. So already that's telling us it's a great place to go and make portfolios. And then we've got the presentation here. Let's start off with the portfolio and go and look at building web pages. So if I click into this, I'm presented with lots of different opportunities to look at templates and to go, oh yeah, I'd rather start from something rather than from nothing. I'm one of those people. I quite like having inspiration to go with at the start, look at that club newsletter, and then I can just change it all up as needed. So, or keep scrolling to the bottom, you can create your own template or create from scratch. I'm going to go and edit this template. You don't have to do this exact one. You can choose your own one. That's absolutely fine. But I'm going to go in and edit this one. So I'm going to select And I'm going to start changing this up. So the first thing I like to do is go up to the top corner and rename my work. So I'm just going to call this like my creativity portfolio. And hit enter. And this little cloud then shows that it's like syncing the new title. And if you have any pop-ups that are appearing here, you can just click OK to kind of skip the tour and get rid of all those pop-ups. I'll be your tour guide for today. So let's have a little look then at, if I just scroll on down before I do any editing, just have a little look at, so it's a one-page web page, which can be really handy for two reasons. So as a teacher, you might want to create one of these to put all of the learning or study resources that you want your students to go and explore. So for example, I've made one with a teacher before for the topic of water, where they had essentially a split layout for each week. And they had like the learning intention or the WALT down and like the success criteria for the activity that the students were going to do. And then they also had like hyperlinks to maybe like National Geographic or BBC Bite Size or off to other videos and things for the students to learn. And then also I've seen fantastic ones that students create, maybe summarizing their entire like time at primary school or their GCSE subjects. Maybe they're making one to like start doing a pros and cons about what they're going to study for A level. And so you can see this web page in particular has a lot of split layouts. So it's just an image with some text on the side, image with text on the side, and there's this little arrow button in the middle so that you could swap what's happening on each side. So let's start editing. All we have to do is click into any of the boxes and we can change the words. So I'll change this to be creativity portfolio. And instead of March this, maybe I'll just say like, bye Nicole. And I mean, I really like the color purple, but perhaps I want to like change up the colors of things at this stage. All I have to do for that is go up to the little paint palette. Now I can see that it's kind of grayed out, and that's because there's currently a sync going on at the moment, and that's because I made a change in this text box. So normally if something's grayed out, take a little look in the top corner for what's syncing. You can see it finished syncing and then everything lit up again. So now I'm going to go to themes. I can see this is the Nora Coiney theme. And if I scroll on down, I've got so many others that I could choose. Why not be a little whimsical? And I can click it and it will change everything on the page, then the web page, to be in this theme. You can't just pick and choose like one split layout to be vintage, the next split layout to be Baldwin. It's kind of preparing students with those like designer skills where you would follow brand guidelines and have the entire web page in one particular brand. Let's go with this one and see what it looks like. I'm hoping it gives me nice blue backgrounds. It's still quite, well, I'll get the blue background here, still quite cream there. So if you're finding like, you know what, I'm not quite getting exactly what I wanted out of this, then that could be when you need to go create a new theme and you get all that control for yourself. So if you do want to spend time creating a new theme, go in here and I recommend going over to advanced and then literally going through box by box how you would make each thing look. So the background, the color of it, maybe you want to be a specific color, and the title, maybe you want it to be a very specific font. I usually like chunky fonts, and subtitle also make a chunky font. And I have these are my most recently used fonts, but you might need to scroll for your favorite. Don't know if Comic Sans is in there now, but you could have a little look, friends. Scrolling more, let's see, maybe I'll go in and have a look at the header. So this would be like a little ticker along the top. Do I want a logo up there? Maybe I have a school logo or a school badge I want to put in. So I would just upload that. Maybe I want a button that takes them to another web page. Maybe it's to their Google Classroom. Maybe it's to their Microsoft Teams channel, or to another learning environment. You can insert a button and hyperlink it there. Scrolling on down, footer would be the same, like what's kind of like, you know, where the terms and conditions would be at the bottom of a website. And then literally just going in section by section and customizing it with either your school's brand or with your own personal preferences. And then you can save that. So you can see up at the top here, I could choose, like, I'll just use this as like a demo web page brand theme. Save that. And then here's my demo web page theme has been applied throughout. So just like that. If you want to spend longer making your web page theme, just pause this video now and continue creating that. Just go through button by button and see what you can create. I'm going to scoot on and just show you how we can navigate and work with some of these pluses. Now, a question I normally get is, how do I get rid of this big gap? Like there's a big gap between this photo and this photo, or there's a big gap between the text here and the text here. When you are in edit mode, you can see all of these little pluses. I sometimes call them the content plus because underneath it is all like this content that you can put in. So you can put in some photos, text, a button, basically that hyperlinked URL. A GIF, if your school doesn't have Giphy blocked, most of ours do in Northern Ireland, so I tend to just ignore GIF, to be honest. Videos, your stuff is basically all of your files in Adobe Express that you can just bring in. And then a table of contents, which we'll come back to at the very end. So that's why there's a content plus there, and that's why it looks like there's a very large gap. But if I just go up to this little eye here, the preview, I can then see, look, there was no really large gap between the header photo and the next photo, and there's no large gap in between the title and the bullets. So Xing off this, I'm in edit mode. That's why I see something slightly different to what it would be whenever I'm publishing or presenting it. So you can go in, click anywhere to change to take out text, to add in different text. When you click the plus and add in some text, you can see that there's this little menu of text that comes up. So you can have a header 1, header 2, this block quote style, which is basically like header 3. It's another option for having bigger font. You've got your bullets and your numbered lists, your usual bolds and italics, hyperlinks, and then your alignment options as well. And if you wanted to change anything that was already made, you can see which one has been selected because it's kind of block and black here. Take that off and it takes away the bullets. So being able just to navigate and explore text interfaces is actually a very key skill, which is why editing templates is something definitely for like senior school or Key Stage 2 and above. They should be getting used to that type of content. Editing pre-made templates. Let's say chess competition. This now didn't turn into a creativity portfolio. Let's change some photos now. This is a lovely photo of a lovely group, but maybe I want to change it out. So the same digital literacy skills apply. If you want to change anything, you have to click it first. So you can see when I click on this image, I get 2 options. Change the focal point. So if I was to change the focal point and drag it over here, we'll now see this student is more in focus and I no longer see the students that were over here. So if I go focal point and drag it to the other side, I'm now going to have the pink bag and the blonde girl in the photo compared to the other one. Let's go and replace though. And let's say I want to find calendar, nice images of calendars. And there we go. Put that one in, give it a little second to buffer into place. And then what I might want to do is change the focal point here as well, just to make that calendar be more in the center here. So I can click the image, focal point. Oh, this one's actually going to be quite hard because it is fairly over to the side. So maybe I just go and replace it and go the next one in, this one. Happy with that. Maybe I move the focal point over so that the calendar's right in the middle, could do. See, it's right over here. Put it in the center. Lovely. So that's how you change out your images. Just click, then replace. You'll notice there that you can upload from your device and you can also generate an image. So you've got Adobe Firefly built in here already for you. And I'll show you what that looks like in the next section. So a member spotlight. Let's maybe we're like spotlighting a digital leader or someone from the Eco Club. Let's replace this image and generate the image. Maybe you're a school that doesn't use images of students online, you're protecting identities, but you still want the student to have a way to express themselves, and why not get them to come in and prompt what they look like, So we could say, young boy in a blue school uniform wearing red glasses and holding a laptop, smiling at the camera in a hyper-realistic photograph. And I've taken that hyper-realistic photograph actually from Shell McConville's Gen AI resource. I'll put up a little banner for it if you haven't seen it before. This one, Shell's Fab resource, absolutely incredible. Some great terminology and words there for you to choose from. Happy with it being square? Yes, let's generate. And one of the great things in that resource, the capitals are important, capital G, capital AI, and capital R for resource. The fantastic things in that is that there's another link that Shell's popped in for some prompt inspo. Oh, how cute is this kid? You know what? I like them all. Let's use this one. Let's apply. There we go. And again, getting students to go in and improve their prompt so that maybe it shows freckles or their color of hair and go and extend that out. But I'm seeing this becoming more popular to get to protect students' identities, just get them to prompt a version of themselves. So this is Joseph McGuire. Why not? And we could go and put in a whole bunch of stuff about Joseph, and maybe we're going to put in a bunch of Joseph's work that I have on my account. So I could go into your stuff. Maybe it's shared with me. Maybe Joseph has shared some of his work with me before. So I click this shared with you, and I'll be able to, when this loads up, I'll be able to click in some pieces of work here. So let's say this was perhaps, it's a video, can't put in a video just yet. So let's go with something that looks like an infographic. Here we go. It is Internet Safety Week after all. So coming up, so having maybe a little bit of work from Joseph. Check out my work. Yay. Okay, what else can we do on a web page? The final things to do is take a little look at the buttons. So let's say I want to insert a button here. This is essentially a website. So let me put in like the adobe.ly ACE training where you found out about this training course. Sign up for more. What do you want the button text instead of edit button? What do you want it to say? Sign up. Oh, sign up for me. Nope, let me edit that. Sign up for more. There we go. And then most common question I get at this stage is people going, but my button's not clickable. I can't interact with this. Like what's happening? Again, we're in edit mode. So you'd have to go to the preview and scroll down to that section to see sign up for more in action and see that it is then opening up into a different tab so that you can, go to that web page. One of the other things you'll notice there that I wasn't able to insert a video from your stuff, but in video, you can insert videos from Express if you've got the view only link for it, or you've got a YouTube link, or you've got a Vimeo link. So for example, let's go and get a video. Let's go make a quick video in Express and get the view only link to bring in here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to keep this tab open. And I'm just going to open up a new tab for Express. If you're on an iPad, just come back to the home page. Your work will have saved. You'll see it down in your stuff, like sitting there. Your work will have saved already. Let's go create a quick video just using animate character. So go animate a character. Choose your character. This is where I get lost in the possibilities and go, oh, I've got so many options. Let's go Calvin. And I'm going to change my background. Calvin's going to be on a little gaming chair. I'm going to set him here. Make him a wee bit bigger. Looks like he's a podcaster. Maybe should be on the gaming couch then. Like so. And this is the beauty of enhanced speech. So right here, we have this little toggle that we can switch on. That is gold if you have a noisy classroom. So if you don't have private recording booths for all of your children, which what school does, then you can have students still sitting side by side in the classroom, and you can enhance speech so that it will take out the background noise and only keep the voice that's closest to the microphone in focus It's really impressive. I do this in my face-to-face sessions that I do with schools and conference groups, and I get everyone to make like a really loud bit of noise, and then I record something. I'm in a very quiet room, so I probably don't need enhanced speech on, but you could give it a go. If you're in a room with some other people, or there's a caretaker or a cleaner maybe hoovering around you, you could try put on enhanced speech and just record something very briefly. So let me record a quick few seconds here. I am showing the power of animate a character to create a quick video that we're going to turn into a view-only link and add it to a portfolio web page. Done. I think I hit done too soon, so probably cut myself off at the end. So hang tight, generating a preview. Excuse me, friends. So one of the great things about this is that you get an opportunity to explain to children the kind of almost hidden AI that's going on at the moment, particularly if you put in enhanced speech. So that you can see Adobe's telling you what's happening at each stage. They're basically transcribing what I said, voice to text, matching it up with lip syncs, then putting in some other motion animations and rigging it all together. If you've got enhanced speech, then it's separating the background noise and the foreground noise. And at this stage, I can play just to hear a little preview of it, download that immediately as an MP4 to my device, or I can open in the editor. Now, I want to open in the editor because I want to go and make that view only link that we were talking about so that that works on a web page. So over here, share, view only link, create link. Now I'm going to click that. What's great about this little button, allow others to remix, is you could do that exact process, share, view only link, for any all-in-one editor project. So let's say you've made a lovely infographic for the Titanic. You want your students to edit a version of it to make their own copy, maybe to complete it, fill it in. Then that option, allow others to remix, is what you would toggle on if you wanted people to remix the link that you send them. You can see I've also now got a button to update the link. So if I made any changes to this that I want people to see, I just have to come back in and update that link all of the time. I do that process more in the video training course. So if you want to check that out, you absolutely should. Or I should have a recording of it on our ACE playlist below. So do check that out. Right, I'm coming back over to my creativity portfolio. Again, if you're on an iPad, just go back to the home page and make sure you've copied that link, home page, then come into your project. And I'm going to go plus video. I'm going to paste it in right here. Save. Done. So that's added in. And again, the reason I can't just play it right here is because I'm in edit mode. So I'd have to go up to the preview, scroll down to that section, and I could play my video here. I am showing the power of animate a character to create a quick video that we're going to turn into a view only link and add it to a portfolio web page. Lovely. And that's essentially the multimedia options that you have available. Now, the last thing I want to show you, I often do this last whenever I have completely finished my web page and I'm certain these are the titles I wanted, this is the header I wanted. And if I go right up to the top, oh, let me X off the edit mode. If I go right up to the top and maybe just put in this little place here, table of contents. And this table of contents is essentially taken from the H1 text, the H2s and the block quotes as well. But I don't want absolutely everything to be in here. I just need the H1 quotes. So I can click this and edit it. And I can go and like take off Joseph Maguire. I just needed the member spotlight. Yeah, but didn't need Mr. Huxton and didn't need for student and parents. That's all I needed. And then you can see this little button to auto update list. Very handy. If you go and make any changes and say, okay, now that February's done, we're changing this to March, then up here, this changes as well. So on and so forth. So really handy ways just to edit. But if you didn't want that to change, you wanted to have a completely different type of title, then you could do that. We could also, if I didn't want this to be bulleted, but I wanted it to be like numbered sections, I could do so. Or maybe I don't want anything at all, I just want straight to the words. I can do that. So that's your options for creating a portfolio. And then you can download this as an entire PDF. So for example, if you needed students to turn in something physical, you wanted them to print it off, you could do that. You could also get them to present it, where they get these like little clickers and these little clicker buttons that will take them through kind of section by section. And even if you, for example, on this one, I know that there was like a much bigger scroll. You can see I can keep scrolling down there, but the clicker will still take you down like arrow by arrow each section of the work there. So that can be handy whenever people are doing presentations. And in fact, I had my primary sevens do presentations this way and make it into a web page, but just use the clickers here for continuing their digital storytelling. If you wanted them then to share this web page as like an actual web page for like with a link, then you can publish to web here. And it's kind of the same process as animate characters that we just did. So publish to web, give it a nice title. You can see that the credits are automatically populated, where a photograph of desktop with calendar for May and office supplies. That was the one that I put in earlier. So it's populated the Adobe stock content that I do already. But I know children love putting their own names in here. So might say they teamed up with a couple of people, they'll be like, Joseph McGuire and Nicole O'Connor. Now, you can see here the author name. That will turn up at the very bottom, like underneath the footer. So at the very, very bottom, it would say it was made by Nicole O'Connor, and that the credits would be down there as well. So that's why people find that handy. The next one we have are password protections. So again, if you have maybe like study resources, maybe you have your own like side hustle for tutoring, that can be really handy for just popping on a password and making a little protected way for your work to stay secure. Another thing that I love with the password protections is seeing people turn these web pages into digital escape rooms. So again, making it that the answer to a riddle or to a quiz or to a team building exercise is the password for the next web page. So if they unlock it and keep going through each level, can be really fun. And that's something I actually did with my Adobe colleagues last year, was put them through like a digital escape room. So yeah, let me know if you want to see an example of that at some stage. I'll maybe do a session on it or put some stuff out on social media. So that can be the helpfulness of having password protections in place there. And then just create the link. So do you confirm that basically you have all the licenses to this, that you have permission, especially if you uploaded specific images of like from your own camera roll? Like, do you have permission to use that person's image? Do you have permission to use a specific image that you went and maybe took off the internet elsewhere instead of just using the Adobe stock? Let me copy this and show you what it looks like as a produced piece of work. So this is published live on the web now. If you have the link, you wouldn't find it on like page 40 of Google or anything. It's kind of like an unlisted YouTube video. So it's an unlisted web page that essentially you can share with people, and they can still come to it live. And there's my little web page in action, just like so. Da, 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 da. And there you can see, because I toggled on that author, and then there's credits down at the bottom. So that's what that looks like in real life. Xing off here and coming back to the next part of our session then. So we did animate a character. You can record yourself as well in Express. I'll maybe show you that in the presentation section that we're about to move into. But let's take a little pause from pushing all the buttons and have a little look at some of the rationale and some of the research that Adobe has done behind the purpose and value of portfolios. I think we all know that the dual coding concept of combining words with visuals is particularly helpful for all learners, and really helps them, bring their learning to life. Gives them an opportunity to reflect and have more autonomy over their work, where they can essentially prove that it was their own work that they did. You know, whenever you're putting in a voice recording or a video self-record or an animate character where you're having to talk and explain the research that you did, can be a really powerful way to ensure that in the age of AI and, you know, just text generation, that students are still having a very crucial role in thinking about their thinking and thinking about their learning. Tracking progress over time, I know that being able to see the learning journey is something that I take most pride in as a teacher. You know, I love seeing a student go from, you know, September to June and the growth that they make, August to July, whatever your school calendar is, being able to see that journey. And it could be that maybe they're doing a split layout for every, you know, month, or maybe for every week if you're having a really long one. And being able to show how they have matured or understood like a certain concept, that can be really helpful. And even if it's just one project, like an art portfolio, you know, how they went from creating, you know, doing their artist research right through to their final piece, can be a really handy way of, you know, just creating that. And then student voice and agency, like student voice, pupil voice, you know, having the voice of learners in their learning is so important, and giving them a tool that is, you know, so suitable for universal design for learning principles, where they can have multiple means of expression. They can show their learning in lots of different ways if you let them, you know, teach them the skills and then let them show you their learning however they choose with the tools available. That can be really helpful for just empowering and increasing engagement in learning. The types of portfolios you might get them to create then, we've got capture learning in motion. So that, again, that kind of progress and process over time. Showcasing like your wow work. I know like a couple of teachers who do like really fantastic web pages that are, they've turned the link into a QR code, pop that QR code on their wow wall or out in the corridors. And then whenever it's open night and some students are going around with iPads taking parents on a tour of the school, they can scan the QR code and kind of scroll through a showcase of, you know, year 5's rainforest topic and their ancient Egyptian topic and so on and so forth. So another really great way to make a portfolio. And then a bit of both, you know, showing the process, the design thinking that went into their final piece, can also be a really great way to use portfolios. On the web page then that you have access to, you can see some examples. So here's some portfolio options that you might want to consider. You can play those videos to see, like there's a spooky Halloween themed one about animal cells for biology. You've got an art example in there. So take this to share with your colleagues. I'll put that link back up again in case you didn't get it earlier. This one is portfolio, an art example, clicking on over a history example, and then that's just the final closing page. So you've got options in there, the portfolio exemplars. So, well, we've done activity 1, creating a digital portfolio. There are templates and step-by-step instructions if you like, particularly for the guided activities. I love the guided activities. We're going to do one now for presentations. So let's go and have a little look at that. Let me go back to Express and go to a home page. And we could go straight in here for create a presentation, but I'm going to go into try fun guided activities and pick out a presentation in here. So one of the things that is fantastic in here is that you've got this like little link right in the corner of all of these guided activities. So you could send that to students straight away. So there's like class portfolio one. Again, that's a web page. So you could just click that link and share it with your students however you assign them links. Scrolling on down, I can see here's another web page. So it's a book report one instead. Looks really good. There's a learning journal one, also a web page, looking fab. Keep scrolling for the presentations. I've got short films, so I've got movie ones here. And then, ooh, here's a presentation. Showcase an important invention. Here's an explainer video, a video about biology. And I don't think there's any other presentation ones that I'm missing out on. No. Okay. Let's go from this one here. And I'm just going to click it open. And you'll see that if I hit play, this is playing like the animations on this web page. or not this web page, on this presentation, but I can't see where all the other slides are. Like, where's the next page of this? So I've got a little button here that says pages. So I can go back and see the pages view. So I've got page 1, page 2, and page 3, or slides, go and see my slideshow. So what I quite like about this, first of all, with guided activities, is getting these instructions down the right-hand side. So your students will see a little tutorial video. You could play that as a whole class teaching video, just make it full screen and play it for them, just so they know what they're going to do. And then you also see like examples of it at the very end. And then you also see that there's step-by-step instructions here. Now, one thing that's new, if you haven't been into guided activities in a while, is this edit instructions piece. So I'm going to edit these instructions because actually my students aren't going to do something on important invention. They're going to do it on an important historical figure. And when I click in here, maybe I'm like, okay, double click into the text. Did it color? Okay, I want to change the spelling of this to localize it. I can go in and make those little changes. Maybe I want to put in another step. Maybe I want to like chunk this down a little bit. So I'm going to click add a step, and I'm going to say, let's see, do they have add a page at the end? No, they don't. So I'm going to say add a page using the plus page button in the bottom right hand corner, and continue your presentation. And this is actually an instruction for the very end. So all I need to do is just, let me open that, is drag this down to the bottom. So just dragging it down, scroll down, keep scrolling. No, it's not attaching down for me. Yeah, there we go. Got it in the right place already. Silly me. Click done. And now I can see there's the first section, second section, third, and then there's my extra instructions that I popped in. And what's quite nice is students on their view, they don't have edit instructions, but they can tick off each step as they go to be like, yep, I've completed this, and I've completed this. Thank you, miss. Thank you, sir. So that's a little bit of self-assessment or self-tracking along the way. So let's try out this presentation. What's different about it from the usual Adobe Express editor? At the very bottom, this is the thing that's mostly different. So I'm just going to X away my Learn panel in the top right. If you ever want it back, just click open the little light bulb, and well, it should be in guided activities again. There's a little glitch. I will report that. Yeah, that should just stay open when you exit away, but there's a little glitch there. It should just pop up straight away as soon as you click open the light bulb. So the main thing that's different in the presentations view versus the usual all-in-one editor view is the bottom bar. So the first button we have is page transitions. So I could just have a wipe in between each page. I could apply that to all pages. And whilst it looks like, okay, well, there's only 4 transitions, that's not quite a lot of variety, you have this option on top of it to change the personality of it, a soft personality, the direction that your transition is moving in, and the duration that it takes. So maybe you want it to last a little bit longer to have, a bit of a breath in between your slides. You can do that, and you can apply that to all pages. So let's see what that looks like when I go to present. First page, and there's my transition, 1.5 seconds into the next one. Great. The other thing that's different about the bottom toolbar is the little presenter notes button. So again, just like you have in your other presentation software, you're able to put in some speaker notes. So you can type in here like, Nicole, intro for 1 minute. And you can put in more speaker notes if you needed to. You've got all your usual simple text formatting at the bottom, and then you can also zoom it in if you need it a little bit bigger whenever you're presenting. And then the last thing that's slightly different is the add page option here. So add a page, either a new page or add a template page. So a new page just looks like that, straightforward, plain white one. A template page, if I go to it again. Add template page goes, well, which one you're using a template? Would you like to add in another one of these again? So let's say I want to take this one in again and add that. And you could also just go to duplicate, but that's what it means to do, like add in a templated page. Now let's say I want to continue the presentation as intended. So this one had a very simple, when I hit play, a very simple like little animation at the start where it brought in the text like in a typewriter format. So how did they do that? Well, again, our digital literacy skills teach us click something first and then see what you can edit. So in my edit panel, I have edit for all of the text. So I've got all my usual text editing options. I've got effects down here as well. So what type of text effects I want to put on. I can see that there's no text effects here, no shadow and no shape. Let's go to animation. Surely something's on an animation. So in the in, I can see that none hasn't been selected. So that means something has. And if I scroll down, I can see the one that's been selected is pop. So I'm always looking for that kind of black box around the icon that has been selected. And then I'm looking at, well, what are the options inside it? Could I like change this up and make it a loud one? Make it last longer? Great. And then same with this one, air conditioning had a typewriter effect. There we go. But maybe I want to change it to be like each word, but maybe we're going to be quicker. Or I want to change the text type altogether. I want it to drift in. Maybe I want it to drift in from a different direction, just to drift up from the little dotted line, so on and so forth. You've got so many options. You just need to know where to click first. So click something. This one didn't have any animation. So I can see there, it's got none. And if I go to loop, it's got none, and out, it's got none. Let's put something on for loop. Let's put on blinking and show you that whenever you come into the in button, and you can see that nothing's been clicked here, I can see that loop has this little tiny little blue dot to let me know that something has been clicked here. So I don't need to click into out. I know nothing's been selected there, but there has been in loop. So I would go in here, see that the none hasn't been selected, and then I can find what has been chosen. So again, like I said earlier on, that skill of being able to edit a template becomes very real, particularly as students get older and into like GCSEs, A levels, further in higher education. Being able to take a template, remix it, put their own answers and their own work into it is a creative but also a productive skill that is needed. Changing out anything here is just the same as like clicking your text. But if I wanted to change out like this little icon here, I could just delete it and go to add content, go to the elements, and maybe I'm just choosing history here. And yeah, I like this one. Yeah, bring this one in. Size it down to fit. And I want to change the color of it. So currently I'm in the animation tab, but I want to go into edit to be able to change anything else. So there's now in white, and that fits a bit better. So let's change the air conditioning then. So invention, let's say person, or historical figure was not the name of my title. Historical figure that changed the world. And then let's go Martin Luther King Jr. Might want to make that a little bit smaller. So I'm just like selecting the text and then just clicking that all the way down. There we go. Bye. Cool. Now, I probably want to change out my image. Hopefully we know what I'm going to do for that. I'm going to try replace it. So I'm going to, same as the web page, click on what I want to change. But now up at the very top, I have this little menu bar that's popped up. So I'm going to click replace here. And where do I want to replace from? Do I have an image in my camera roll or on my downloads folder that I want to use? Do I have something in my Google or OneDrive? Or do I just want to go to the Adobe stock images? So I think I want to go there. I just want to go to photos. I want to choose just a kind of like plainish background for here. Let's see. It's quite good options. I quite like that. But now I'm looking kind of going, my background needs to be maybe darker so that it works here. So here's how I would do some more edits. First thing that I could do is click on the opacity and like kind of multiply it. I can see I've got that image still in the background, so let me get rid of that. I'm going to open my layer panel, scroll down, and this is the image that's the culprit right there. So I just click the backspace button on my keyboard to get rid of that, and then I can change the background color of my page like so, and it's already standing out a whole lot more. I could go over to custom, and what I say, you might have heard me say before if you've been to my sessions before, take these circles for a walk. So let's go and take these all around to go, well, what's still accessible to read the writing on top of, but also gives like enough interest and intrigue. I think that one works quite well. For me, I could go and change that a little bit more, but I want to go into the next section. And I just want to take a quick check at the comments. Okay, we're doing grand. Right, over to the next page. Now this one, I remember when I hit play on it, it was automatically spinning in some animations, which is great because presentations should be more than just words and pictures, particularly for older students. That's kind of like Key Stage 1 we expect, and Foundation Stage we expect just words and pictures, but being able to do more with our work is what we're really wanting to go into. So if I click in here, I can now start changing out everything to do with my text. But one of the things I really like about doing templates is reverse engineering what they've done. So going, well, okay, so that kind of like had a spin in. So that must have been an animation. So I'll go to the animation. There was something in the in, have a look for it. Yeah, so it was a spin in there. But also this image is in a circle, which is interesting. So what if my images aren't in a circle? Well, if we go to crop, I can see actually this was a landscape image that has just been cropped into a circle. So I could choose and change to the crop to be in a slightly different shape. So just click on it, the crop buttons, and then choose something different there. Now, what else was happening? Hit play. This text was coming in one by one. So this becomes really handy to look at the timeline. So that's the way the first page opened up at. We had the full timeline. So to find that timeline, we're going to click the 3 wee dots and then go edit timeline. Now I would say this is kind of upper Key Stage 2, definitely post-primary skills. But I would say like kind of year 6 and above, you would be expecting to do these type of skills here with layer timing. So looking here, that's when the first one came in, that's when the second one came in, these little blue dots, and then the third one. So what if I wanted to change that up? Well, if I go to the very end, when I've got everything in the slide, and I click on one of the items, let's click on the full group of it here. Let me just zoom in there so you can see what I'm clicking. See this little like crosshairs view? When I click this, the blue lines are only around this text box. When I click the whole section here, I've selected the whole group. And I know I've got the whole group selected because the first thing it's going to ask me to do up here, or the second thing, is ungroup. And I can also see that the little icon down below is the grouped icon. Whereas here, it's just the text box. And even here, it's just the element. So clicking that is the full group. And just by dragging this slider, like this would be it on for the entire length of the slide, but just dragging this slider up and down changes when it comes in. So I can see the second one comes in there, and then maybe I want the third one to come in a bit sooner. And that's it. Essentially, let me go back to this one and go, well, maybe I want this, click the crosshairs. Maybe I want this one to come in, but I want it to disappear before the next one comes in. So I'll just drag back. You see the way that lined up there? See this blue line? It's kind of snapping me into place. That becomes really handy. Let me drag this one back to about there. 1 second. And again, figuring out why things might need certain, like, is it for certain attentions? Is it, let me see, I maybe want this one to disappear again just before that next one comes in. We still want it to be a second long. So invented in 1902, first error, I mean, it's maybe too quick for being able to read. So you get the idea though, layering that timing your layers. is a really helpful skill for reducing clutter on a slide, but also showing something that's an advanced digital literacy skill, being able to communicate in lots of different ways for different purposes and different audiences can become really helpful and handy for students to learn. One other thing, if I go on to this final slide, so I'm just dropping that down and I'm going to my slides now. One other thing that's handy is you can see here that these are videos now popped in. So the great thing about using Express then for your presentations is you've got access to the Adobe stock library. So if I click here, go to replace videos, I can go and find some of the great videos then that I want to put in. But did you notice what happened there? Let me show it again. So I'm about to replace with a video. I'm going to choose this nice blue video of a timeline ticking through. But notice how when I popped it in here, it doesn't look blue like it does over here. So what that tells me is that when I'm replacing an item in Express, it is going to keep the same edits, the same filters, the same effects on that image, the same crop, even though this is like widescreen blue. It's keeping everything the exact same when I'm choosing replace, okay, which is great, but maybe you wanted that blue. So if you want this blue, but you don't want it to be to attach all of the same filters, you maybe still want it in cropped into a circle, here's what you could do. First thing is you could click the circle, go to your effects and turn them off, just go to none, so there's no effects on it. The second thing you could do is go to add content and put in your media. Let me go to videos and search history. And I can get like the full size video here without having to go via the replace button. So you've got different options there for how you can navigate around it. And again, that's the part of Explore, being able to explore digital interfaces. Deleting that one out. The final thing that I want to show you is being able to collaborate with peers. So one of the great things about presentations is often the best way to get like students to present in front of the whole class is to team them up. And you can team them up very easily in Adobe Express as well. Just go to the little share button up at the top. You can either go through the blue share or you can go through the little person with the plus here to invite people. And you just choose to invite someone to the file, like so. You can give them comment access or edit access. Comment access would be handy if you just wanted like to send it to your teacher to get feedback, particularly if you don't have classrooms. Or edit would be great if you want someone to join your project and to have a little go on it as well. And what's great about having a joint project where you can have another peer come into your work is that you can see their cursors moving around the screen. So you'll see now in a wee second, like I am in this other piece of work now. So I can see like, oh, there's Nicole working on this image, Nicole might open up the comment section and say things like, I'll do slide 4. And the comment section is up here. You see where this little red dot is now? Because I can see Nicole O'Connor has just said to Nicole O'Connor, I'll do slide 4. And then this is a great way just to prove like that, and to show students and give them really meaningful ways to communicate and collaborate online. And it's that easy to set up. So all I had to do was go to the notification bell on the Adobe Express homepage. So I'll show you just up here is where I got the notification that I was invited to a project. And then you just hop into it and you can start collaborating. That easy. And if you don't know what the student's Adobe ID is, then just have them when they click the share button, they'll see their Adobe IDs here. And that's what they type in. And they just type in, insert the Adobe ID here. Done. And yeah, so then students can reply, cool. I'm going to search for media. And maybe put in like a little emoji here. Sure, why not? Put in a little camera. Submit. Done. And then I can see on my other screen here, I've got a notification that somebody has sent me a message back. So there's really easy collaboration, really great links to be able to make with students, and that quick as well for you to collaborate with teachers, which I absolutely love. And then the final thing that I would show is then, okay, presenting. So you've got at the little drop down button here, you've got different ways you could present. You could present from the first page, present from the current page, or present with presenter mode. That is perfect if you have two screens. You know, if you've got like a different monitor or you've got like a projector in your desktop, so that you can see your presenter notes, these little notes here that we were showing on like page 1. So if you had two screens, you click that and then it'll tell you, you know, basically I have it's now opened up on my other monitor here, the other screens, so that I have my speaker notes here. I could be looking at you the whole time, and then my presentation's on this other slide. Exit the slideshow, like so. That's one that you need to practice with two monitors if you want to try it out. Otherwise, just go to present and you just click through. You can also see you've got like this little clicker here. So you can just move the clicker around with you. I want to have this like little blue option so I can like highlight things to people. Clicking through my slides, use the arrow keys if I want to as well. And then when I get to the very end, the escape key in the top left of your keyboard is what you need to come out of it. I would really encourage you, if I go back to the Adobe A, I would really encourage you to go down to the Activities tab, have a little search. I know this isn't totally localized, but have a little search for your subject area and go and check out some of the templates that are in here. That would be fantastic starting points for any of your presentations. Like some of these look absolutely fantastic. You could also go to the templates section and you could search for presentations and have a look for, I mean, that's not the, maybe it's output I need to do first. That's my bad. Presentation. And I want to search for history. Oh, actually, I should do safer internet. So output, presentations. There's World War II ones. There's an ancient Egypt one. There's a whole bunch. Let's see. Internet safety. In templates, I'm going to go to my output and click presentation back on. Ooh, these first ones look class. Let me go into this one. I can have a little look, have a little preview at each bit. Okay, so we're doing the smart rules. Love it. Okay, I want to customize this right away. I want to, you know, go and start making my own version of this. Or if I go back a step and show you what I would do for students, again, let me go to the output and change it to presentation. Is this little link, send that to students and they'll open straight up into that template. That becomes really handy for you. Just like so. Alrighties. Okay, we're at the end of our session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that you have everything you need to get your ACE badge to join the ACE Leader program. There are some videos on this ticker that's been going along at the bottom for how to get started with Adobe Classrooms, assignments, class galleries, and so on and so forth. I do have a session coming up all about classrooms and teamwork, so do come back for that. I would love to see you on it. But also at the very, very, very bottom of this is the link for you to become an ACE leader. You should already have your ACE badge. If you don't have your ACE badge, let me put up the link for it here. So that you can download your ACE badge and become an official Adobe Creative Educator. But then if you want more, you want to take part in these monthly competitions, like February's one that's coming out very, very soon. Or if you want to get a little bit more inspiration sent straight to your inbox, you want to see the best practices, you want to hear about our exclusive events where you can get more swag, you want to find out what's happening next, you want the ebooks of all of our curriculum stuff sent straight to you, then ACE Leader is where you want to come hang out. We have optional monthly calls for you to drop in and pick up some inspiration. I'm always looking for people to be the spotlights for those. So maybe you're doing something really fun with Express with your students. If you want to come and take like 5 minutes to share that with other European ACE leaders, then I would absolutely love that. I usually have to go and tap people on the shoulder, but I love it when someone comes to me. So you have my email already from when you signed up to this course. Just ping me an email and be like, Nicole, I'm happy to be a spotlight and to share something that I'm doing. There's no one way to be a leader, is what I would say. Leaders lead in all different ways. You could be a leader online, you could be a leader in your class, you could be a leader in your key stage, your year group, your department, your subject, maybe your entire cluster, region, or nation. Every type of leader is valid. Introverts, extroverts, ambiverts, the whole bunch. I want to have as much representation as possible. So do reach out, do sign up and join us. And if you have any questions, you want to ask me anything, you have a follow-up, you have an idea for a future webinar or course that we could do, please just ping me a little email on dig86561@adobe.com. And until then, peace, love, and hugs. Catch you soon. Bye, everyone. You're welcome. Take care.